What's up, guys? How you doing? In today's video, we're going to jump right to the very end of the Acolyte trailer, and we're going to talk about this right here. Everyone's saying it's a ring. However, we're going to talk about the rumored plot leak of the Acolyte and what this actually means right here. So the rumor is, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems very legit. And with this, I feel like it will be. Okay, so before we begin, actually, I want you to watch this one thing.
As a grown ass woman, I cried through the entire movie. There was just something about the relationship between the sisters, the like de-villainization of the classic kind of fairy tale bad guy, the concept of true love being between two sisters and not a heterosexual relationship. Like it just destroyed me completely. And I thought, gosh, I would love to make something like this that is, for lack of a better term, Disney, meaning it's something that like my parents would have allowed me to see when I was younger as a queer person.
Gotcha.
But I would have been able to understand as a queer person. And I think I would have had a completely different life. And so I really was inspired by it and was like, God, I would love to make a story like this. And so when I was developing this original idea to pitch to Kathleen, I thought, well, it can't just be that. When you're pitching Star Wars, you have to pull from what George was also interested in. Like, it can't just be like, well, I'm referencing, especially if you're going to set something.
Which is great of her to say, honestly. Like, we got to call things good when they're good and whack when they're whack, and that's definitely true.
During the High Republic or end of High Republic into prequels, you don't have the Skywalker saga. Like, you can't reference a character that was created by George and or Filoni. Like, you have to create your own new characters.
Okay, so right here is what we want to really pinpoint here.
Destroyed me completely, and I thought there's the like de-villainization kind of fairy tale bad guy, the concept of true love being between two sisters and not a heterosexual relationship. Like,
okay, two sisters. What is going on here? Light, dark. This looks to me like an eclipse. Not so much a ring. What happens with an eclipse? Light and dark meet, right? And this, of course, could go tandem with the eclipse trailer, which also is indicative of something rising during the time of an eclipse. And I think when the eclipse happens is when this beast or monster or these rival gangs or whatever they are come in and they try and ransack the village. And I think that's exactly when everything is going to just kind of shift. And with that, we are going to get the darkness meeting the light, which will be the sisters. So we'll see how that plays. This falls in with the rumored plot leak that we had a little while ago. What was the plot leak? It was actually very interesting. So I liked it, to be honest. So there was this village. You guys have heard me talk about it a bunch of times. If you haven't, welcome. There's this village. Long story short, the Jedi come. They do their thing. They take the child that is force sensitive. They say, give me this child. The village says no. They say, no, we have to take the child. It's force sensitive. This is what we do. We kidnap babies with force sensitivity. And they're like, okay, we'll give you our kid, but you're going to have to protect us from the raid, which comes every so often from these evil beings who like ransack and kill everyone in the village. So we need you to protect us if we give you this trade of our child. And so they both agreed, mutual transaction. They take the force-sensitive child, who happens to be the sister of one of the kids in the village, who they didn't take, who at the time wasn't force-sensitive, but then we see that she eventually does become force sensitive. So what happens is the raiders come to the village. The Jedi are nowhere to be found. They do not uphold their end of the bargain. Everyone in the village dies except for apparently the one sister who was not taken by the Jedi. And she ends up having so much hatred towards them for not saving them and allowing her whole family, her whole village to go up in flames and to die from these raiders, whoever they are. And so she vows to destroy the Jedi, every single one of them, until the day she dies. And so there is someone that comes in, he's a dark sider, and he takes her and notices the darkness in her and essentially takes her under his wing and kind of trains her in this ability. And I think that person is probably Daphne Keene. So either she's the good sister or the bad sister. So there are going to be two sisters. One's light, one's dark. They're eventually both going to come together and either fight, or they're going to join and fuse, and then they're going to defeat Janemba. No, I'm just kidding. They're, they're either going to fight each other, or they're going to go against a much larger opposition. And that could either be the one that, trained the darker sister, or it could be something else entirely. Plagueis drops in and just kills everyone, and actually ends up seeing the new sister, the dark one, and says, screw you, Palpatine, you're too weak. It is time for me to go for this new one here, and we're going to go with that. And then now Palpatine is going to be a good guy, and he's going to join the Jedi, and he's going to be a apprentice to Yoda. That could be a great fan fiction. So, yeah, no, look, this, I think, makes total sense. I think that's what the actual plot leak is. I mean, just the fact that she, kind of told us what she's really enamored by was like these two sisters. And when she wanted to pitch her original idea to Kathleen Kennedy, she kind of just took inspiration from that, or I guess took that, and wanted to create that with Star Wars with two sisters. And of course, what would be more interesting than two sisters who have opposing beliefs and also the same level of power, but different ways of using them? And that'll be probably pretty powerful to see both of them come head to head against each other, one light, one dark, and then we can kind of see how the Force plays out in that sense. So yeah, I mean, it's a cool premise. I never thought it was a lame premise. I think it's actually pretty interesting. Very basic, but you know what? You don't have to have anything super intricate when you want to tell a cool or good story. The execution is the only thing that we have yet to see, right? Is there going to be a lot of filler? Is there going to be a lot of exposition over the fact that we don't actually need that much, kind of like some other projects that we've seen? So I'm looking forward to seeing The Acolyte. However, am I a fan of Leslie Headland and her remarks about Star Wars and George Lucas in the past? No, I'm not, of course. However, I hope that this show is going to be good. I hope that she really does indeed, isn't just bullshitting, but she actually takes a lot of inspiration from what George would have wanted. And the problem also with that is that not everybody really has a good grasp of what they think George would actually want. That includes myself as well. Really, the only person who knows that would be George. Look at Dave Filoni. He even takes stuff that I don't think George would have done and spins them in his own narrative. So, let alone, Leslie Headland. Dude, it's a cool premise. I mean, look at that ratio. That is insane. I remember when I was watching it, it was still like pretty good. I think it was like 20,000 off in upvotes versus downvotes. But this is like, that's crazy. That's a huge number of downvotes. Still the best comment of all time right here. So anyways, that is the plot leak. I personally want this show to be really good. I think what could make it good is if they really focus on character development. They focus on the Jedi younglings like they did in the beginning of the show. They have a few time jumps, I think, to accelerate the plot and accelerate the characters, because we don't have too much time. It's 8 episodes. They're going to have to move somewhat quickly in order to tell the story that they want. I would say probably, if the plot leaks are true, we're going to have to get the village scene probably within the first episode, where the Jedi do not abide by their pact, their deal that they made with the village people. They come in, they take the Force-sensitive child, and then they disband them. They never return. I think that could be episode 1. I think episode 2 could be, the child, the sister waking up from the rubble or something, some sorts. Maybe she exhibits some sort of Force power through her anger. And we know that that's definitely something that happens with Force users, especially when they use their anger. But beyond that, I don't really think that they need to spend too much time on anything else. I think they got to move quickly with the show. I think they got to have a good amount of action. I think they also have to really dive into how the Jedi think at this time. And it's going to be interesting to see the differences and the contrast between the Jedi of the High Republic versus the Jedi of the prequels. I think that'll make for a very interesting analysis by me. So we only have about 3 months left to wait. No, we only have about 2 months left to wait. 3 months. We have 2.5 months left to wait, and we'll really see what happens, man. I hope the show's gonna be a banger. I really hope it doesn't miss. But as always, I'm hopeful until we get the final product, and then we'll see what actually does happen. So not one way or the other. We'll see where it goes. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think the plots are for The Acolyte. Are you excited for it? Do you not care? What you think of the trailer? Hope you have a great day. May the Force be with you always.